Okay, so here we are. I just want to get a little up close and personal with you, and I want to share this with you. You just may not be exactly who you think you are. There was a psychologist by the name of William James, and what he said that you're not what you think you are, but what you think you are. Did you get that? What you think, that's who you are. That's who you become. That's what you are. What you think. So it's so important that we understand that this thinking has such a profound effect on our day to day lives. At the end of the day, this quote is talking to us about being able to really um, be the captain of your destinies, being able to be the one who makes decisions on a daily basis that will dictate what your day is like, what the next moment is like. You get to make those decisions on a day to day basis. But don't get caught up and don't put yourself down and don't think that you're less than because you're not where you want to be. Life is such a journey that we are becoming every day. We're becoming every day. So I wanted to stop by just to remind you that you may not be what you think, because what you think, you are. So think about that today, chew on it. So here's the deal. We were talking about you are what you think. What you think about is what you're going to see. What you think about is what you materialize, because the power of the mind is an amazing thing. We know that it always sounds so easy, but it's really not that easy. And that's why today you want to be able to listen in. If you want to find out more about your mind and your thinking and how that is shaping your reality, then this clip is for you, because your mind, listen folks, up close and personal, your mind is the most powerful tool that you have. It is the most powerful tool, the most powerful weapon in your arsenal, right? And it can impact your moods, it can impact your health, it can impact your overall life. Your mind, as a matter of fact, is so powerful that it if that if it can make you physically sick, it can make you physically ill, it can make you feel things in your body that aren't actually there. That's the power of your mind. So let's say you're all stressed out and you're at work and you're at a job, you're at your job, and you get fired, and so that's a burden on you, and you're thinking about that, but you're going and you've got a job interview for the next day, or you've got an upcoming exam if you're in school, and you've got all this stuff on you. Within a matter of days, all that anxiety begins to manifest. It will manifest itself. Do you know it will manifest itself as an actual disease? That's why we have to be real serious about our emotional health. We have to get real serious about relaxation and taking time out and learning how to breathe properly, and all these things that don't cost money, they just cost a few minutes of your time. It's kind of like, if you are the captain of your destiny for that day, every decision you make matters. So even if you start to experience digestive problems, or your blood pressure starts to rise, and people suffer from nausea and heart palpitations, sweaty palms, all of these things are related to anxiety, and anxiety is related to your patterns of thinking. Because according to, I think the psychologist is William James, if you create a mental picture of yourself, good or bad, doesn't matter if it's true or not. If you paint a mental picture of yourself, good or bad, you'll begin to embody that thought. And that's just how powerful your thoughts are. So I wanted to come to you today, as you can see, barefaced, but also up close. and to talk to you a little bit about your self schema. See, your self schema, your schema is a collection of your cognitive beliefs, the generalizations of yourself. We gather these things, we gather these thoughts and these feelings and these belief systems from our experiences. We go through and the messages that we receive from other people, they're all shaping our reality, they're shaping our belief system. And so these messages quite often dictate who we are and how we believe in certain situations. So we have to be careful. In almost all cases, these perceptions develop without us even knowing that they're developing, without us even knowing about them. So, nevertheless, they still have this immense influence on how you perceive yourself to be. So, whatever you believe is true, well, at least it's going to become true for you because you believe, and that's where you begin to think about, this is what I believe to be true, and it will be true for you, but there's not all other self schemes are negative. And this is where we need to get to. But many of them, they can be good for your self-esteem. They can inspire you to achieve more. You could tell yourself, I'm talented, I'm outgoing, I'm athletic, I'm beautiful, all these great things about you. You can make your mouth say anything, but what do you believe about yourself? Because some of the other self-schemas are incomplete, they're distorted, they're inaccurate, and as a result, they force us to view ourselves in a way that is not even our truth. And we see ourselves in this negative light. The entire world can become in a negative light. They make you feel hopeless, even worthless at times. Some of those thoughts are like, ooh, I'm lazy, I'm not successful, you know what, I'm overweight, I'm too fat, I'm not cute, I'm all these things, right? But I want you today to see the big picture. If you experience any type of trauma or anxiety, you know that negative sense of self quickly follows. Woo! It's right there. Low self-esteem, negative self-talk. It develops soon after you begin to experience this anxiety, you begin to experience this trauma. So leaving yourself vulnerable to these feelings of defeat and despair, it can be dangerous. The scary part is this, look. The scary part is that this distorted image of yourself can happen to anyone, and it happens day in and day out. It doesn't target just the weak or the lonely. It doesn't target the one that's isolated and doesn't have a lot of friends. It targets a lot of people. It happens to those who are resilient. It happens to those who are courageous. It happens to the perseverant one. It happens to everyone. It's okay to not be okay. You hear me? It's okay to not be okay. Remember that you're more than your self-schema. You're more than what your self-schema tells you about you. You're more than what your self-schema allows you to believe. Still, it can be hard to see the bigger picture. The bigger picture, especially when times are tough. I understand. It can be hard. So, I just wanted to leave you with a few things that you can do to provide this self-supportive way of helping yourself overcome, and are either a way to support others who are dealing with what we're talking about. They're a good reminder of your self-worth, and they can help you see yourself in a true, complete self. You want to be made whole. You don't want to deal with the chips in life. That's a whole nother story. Thank you, Christy. But I want to talk to you a little bit more just about the question of the accuracy of self-schemas, the way we see ourselves, the way we think about ourselves, the way we view ourselves. Do you know that as close as I am to this camera today, As close as I am, there are some people who, when they look in the mirror, they have the worst feeling on the inside, and that's due to their self-schema. See, it's easy for us to let others determine our perception of who we are, which is basically your schemas, how you perceive yourself. Yet the problem starts when we convince our own selves that that's who we truly are. Listen, you've got to come into the knowledge of who you truly are. The only way to avoid this is by taking some time to reflect. Self-reflection is a beautiful way to get to know yourself, but also a beautiful way to heal. You can ask yourself, how accurate is this belief? Where did this belief come from? And once you find that out, you can also go back and begin to say, okay, I understand where this belief came from, but now, where am I now? What do I believe about who I am today? Have I changed at all since all that was going on in my life? Does it reflect who I truly am? Does it reflect who I am 20 years later? Does it? In most cases, probably not. So remember, if others have drawn up a certain picture of you, because people will put you in a frame, they will frame you. People will draw up a certain picture of you. The fact is that it's not complete because they don't know you. It may be 100% inaccurate because no one knows you more than you and your creator. No one knows who you are and what you're capable of except you. And knowing what your abilities are, that's easy to find out. Knowing what your knowledge, skills, and abilities are. So listen, I want to encourage you today. I want you to begin right now taking control of your thoughts. Were you able to question the truth of certain aspects of your life? So you know now that other people's perception of you isn't always correct. Some people will just read you wrong, honey. They will read you wrong. Some people will read you wrong. But once you recognize that you be aware of how unkind you can be to your own self, sometimes, many times, in most cases, we are our own worst enemy. But we're all victims of self-sabotage. We become all victims of self-sabotage in one way or another. At times, we can be our own worst enemies. There's ways to avoid, though, falling into that pit. The simplest thing we can do is to emphasize the positive. What are the positive things about you? What are those things that when you think about the time you were having a good time, or the thing that you did that was some type of accomplishment, or, we have to learn how to celebrate the small wins. No matter how small you think they are, you've got to learn how to emphasize the positive. And so you will have to learn how to look to your strengths. Sometimes most people don't even know what their strengths are. So we often have to get other people involved because other people see your strength when you don't. Why? Because you have this self-schema. You have this thing about yourself that isn't quite true. So you have to start with some strength-based affirmations, such as, I welcome change. I'm ready to change. I welcome change. I don't waste time feeling sorry about myself. I'm grateful for all that I have. I'm making mistakes doesn't make me a failure. And giving up isn't an option. These are all things that you could tell yourself to remind yourself that you are in the process of becoming, and it will help you to allow yourself to become whole. And you will no longer be held captive or victim of your own self-schema and your own beliefs concerning you. So you have to allow yourself to be whole. You are the sum of all your parts. You can't be defined by a mistake you made at work or at home or way in your past. You're not defined by that. And I'm so grateful and thankful today that my defining is not based on what I used to be and who I used to be, but it's based on the refining of the Creator. So you're a combination of your strengths and your weaknesses, your failures and your accomplishments. Now you can look at your strengths and your accomplishments, or you could get stuck continuing to dwell on your weaknesses and your failures. You have to allow all four of these: strength, weaknesses, failures, and accomplishments to be able to coexist in the first step. This is the first step in appreciating who you are, appreciating all of you, the failures, the weaknesses, appreciating what you stand for, appreciating what you believe. You have to know what you believe. You have to know what you stand for. The sooner you realize that, the sooner you'll start to feel empowered and truly loved. Thank you for this up close and personal conversation with you today. Thank you for listening in. This is Dr. Donna, and I'm signing off. You have a wonderful and blessed day.